The state's forester talks about the summer's devastating wildfire and why conditions are still ripe. Next on Comcast Newsmakers. Hi, welcome to Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Sabrina. We're at the lovely Governor's Mansion today in Olympia. And joining me right now is Everett, State Forester, Department of Natural Resources.
Thanks,
Aaron,
Sabrina.
thanks so much for coming on the program.
Yeah, glad to do it.
As I said, this summer, particularly devastating with the fire near Cle Elum called the Taylor Bridge wildfire. Bring us up to date. I know people followed it really closely, but of course they're still monitoring for hotspots, but it has been contained, yes?
That's right. The fire's fully contained. Unfortunately, the fire burned about 61 homes, about 23,000 acres. And it occurred at a period of time where we had extraordinarily dry weather and high winds, and was a devastating event.
Those of us who were watching that fire unfold, a lot of course, the news media was covering it pretty heavily. It seemed to just spiral out of control. I mean, as wildfires do, of course, but it just all seemed to happen so quickly.
That I-90 corridor on the east side is kind of a nightmarish place to have wildfires. You have winds funneling through there consistently in the summertime, and once you get a start going, it's gonna take out some homes.
Talk about this fire in comparison to some of the other ones that we've had in recent memory, last few years. How would you compare it?
Well, we had an extraordinarily big fire in 2006 called the Tripod Fire. It was up by Concanelli, something that reflects some of the terrible conditions I think we've got in our forests in eastern Washington. Bug kill, heavy fuels, and things that contribute to the size of the wildfire that we wouldn't expect to see normally. And
as I mentioned, conditions still ripe for wildfires. So most people would think by now, we're kind of out of the woods.
As the nights get cooler, they get a little bit easier to control, but human beings cause about 90% of the fires in Washington state, and people still need to be really extraordinarily careful well into the fall when we have dry conditions.
And as you mentioned, particularly in eastern Washington, but the way that our forests stand now, you have a lot of material that can burn very quickly.
That's right. Over time, because of past management decisions and successful wildfire suppression, we've got very dense forest conditions throughout much of eastern Washington. And that's why in November, Commissioner Goldmark initiated the state's Forest Health Warning System.
And tell us about that.
We have the ability under state law to convene a technical group and look at where the forest health problems are worst and start recommending actions that people can take to protect themselves from insect and disease damage, and has wildfire benefits as well.
As we move forward, are there any lessons learned from the Taylor Bridge fire, anything that you might take either to the legislature or something that is cause for concern that might build a discussion around?
Well, we're certainly going to keep up and intensify our efforts to help people protect their homes from fire, and it's a basic preventive measure that everyone should consider taking. We're not going to stop all fires ever, but certainly it's a little like having a car that has seatbelts and airbags. You're still going to get into an accident perhaps, but when it happens you can survive the accident. That's the same thing.
So you said take measures. By that, what do you mean?
Clearing space around your house, constructing your house out of material that isn't going to burn, like metal roofs, and thinning the trees on your property if you have trees. Anything
else about the Taylor Bridge fire that you can tell us? As far as, I guess, blame hasn't quite been, or the investigation is still going, so...
Investigation is ongoing, but it's definitely not a lightning-caused fire, and it's another illustration of why people need to be extraordinarily careful when they're out in the woods.
And a lot of people, as we said, devastated by that fire, lost their homes, and
the response from the
struggling.
community, the response from the community has been just outstanding. The appreciation for the firefighters, donations to people that have lost their houses, it's extraordinary.
And not only the houses, I understand that a lot of the livestock too really took a hit with what they eat. And,
you bet.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
A lot going on with Taylor Bridge, and as you mentioned, still monitoring for hot spots, which is normal in this case, correct?
That's right. We want to keep an eye on it until we get some snow on top of it and we can be sure it's all the way out.
All right. Aaron, thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for watching Comcast Newsmakers. CNN Headline News coming up next. Hope you can stay with us.